Hello, I'm Helen Van Wyk, and welcome to my studio. Today, the subject is landscape, and I want to point out one very important principle that you really must know about to be able to paint landscapes rather well, and that is the factor of the eye level. Things that we look at look different below our eye level and above our eye level. So it's very, very important to know where the eye level is. So when I go out painting landscape, I usually put my maul stick up at my eye level and extend my arms out so I can see what's above and below that line. And I can draw it accordingly. If I don't do that, I'm liable to get all mixed up. And so I'm going to do this landscape, and the eye level is, you see this line is going down. I sketched it in ahead of time so that I could use as much time as possible to show you how I paint it and how I paint reflections. And this is going down, so that must be above my eye level. And so this is going up a little bit, and this is going up a little bit, and this is going up a little bit. See, this is the closest point. And so the eye level must be about here. Very helpful in drawing it in right, because the drawing in landscape is terribly important. Well, it's terribly important in everything you paint, because there's only three things you can get wrong in painting: the shape, the tone, and the color. So we get the shape right first, and then we can put the tones and colors on top of that. Now, to give you a better idea of how important the eye level is, here's a picture of what was known as motif number 2 in Rockport. It was Kachopolis Market. Very colorful and very tempting. They put these colorful umbrellas up to stop the sun from withering the fruits and vegetables. This line is this is the thing closest to us again. This line goes back and recedes up to the eye level, which is about in here. This is also going back to an eye level. Now there's vanishing points on the eye level. They're very far away from what you're looking at, but knowing that they're there helps you make everything in sync. These boxes are above my eye level, and you can see their lines are gradually seeping down to the eye level that is about in here. Okay? Oh, by the way, this is quite a questionable color, but that was the color, and I thought it was kind of happy and bright in relation to the other colors in the picture. Look how bright I decided to do this. If you're bright one place, you can go bright someplace else. It's motif number 1, in Rockport, the most painted, most photographed scene in all the United States. Okay, so let's try to paint this landscape now that we've learned about the eye level. The principles of painting really paint your picture. Your eye enjoys painting the picture. Well, why don't we start by putting in the sky in back of the house. Blue. Ooh, be very careful with blue. Not too blue. Doesn't look natural if it's awfully blue, blue, blue. In fact, I always put a little bit of orange in my blue. This is not a factor of perspective, but it's a factor in painting that we also have to take into consideration, and that is the focal point. That point that has to attract you to the painting. It gives it its description. And so I usually, in painting landscape, start with the focal point. Start with that which is most important, because I have no limitation. So I start with this, make it the size I want it, and then paint all the rest around it in relation to it. Now, the roof, the light in this particular picture is coming from the right. And the roof of the motif is gray, light gray. But that light gray is darker here because it's not facing the light. Keeping in mind that this has to go down because it's above my eye level. This has to go down because it's also above my eye. This has to go down. Well, motif number 1 is red. It's a little red house. Yeah, it's more like that. Maybe a little lighter because the sun is shining on it. There was a famous landscape painter who said, when you're painting a landscape, you always should include something red. Compensate for all the green. Well, when you're painting motif, you can't avoid red. I've seen it painted by many people, and oh boy, they do come up with odd reds. Alizarin crimson and bright red together makes a dark red. In shadow, you shadow it by putting in its complementary green. Oh boy, doesn't that darken it? You use the complementary true to get the shadow color, and you do that because you know that's true. It's a principle that you've learned and you do what you know. But then your eye comes along and then judges whether you're painting in the right version of what you know. So your observation in painting is always secondary to what you know you're doing. The color is never that confusing. It's the color that you remember it to be, and you use the complementary to paint its shadows. Being there and seeing, working with the subject gives you a chance to paint in the interesting little peculiarities that makes it an intimate presentation. Well, the next thing I saw was the dock that the motif was standing on, or sitting on. This motif, by the way, is not the original. The original came down in a storm in 1978. They couldn't save it. They just couldn't save it. There wasn't enough left over to put it back, so they built a new one. Now that's already 1978, so it has weathered, but when they first put it up, it looked like a poster. Now the flat planes, that's the flat plane of the of the dock. But this is the side plane of the dock, catching less light. And this plane, this side of the dock, gets darker. Violet into my yellow. To put it in shadow. Well, what I'm going to do is incorporate how to paint reflections in water as well. Yes, that looks like greenery, but it's not. It's a whole bunch of other buildings. I just put it in a mass tone and add some other stuff in it to make it look like buildings, maybe. Landscape painter says, always add a little bit of red. It's so helpful. Now, reflections in water are made up of those things that are reflecting in it. And so I'm going to put this in. And I'm going to put the darker tone in here. Ooh, I've got to make the water level higher. I'm going to have the boat out of the water. And I put all these reflections in down strokes. And I'll take some time and be a little bit more accurate about putting in the boat. Rockport is a town that is called a lobster town. We have a lot of lobstermen. And for some reason or other, they usually paint their roofs of their lobster boats yellow, like an ochre yellow. It's so typical of them. But the boats are usually white. Can't use that white here, though, because it's in shadow. It's away, it's the same as this. This is light, this is dark, this is light at the top, and this is darker here. Knowing that I have to have it going, its direction has to go up to the eye level. There's always another little part here. The cabin. I have a very confusing kiss here. You see, the roof of the boat is right in line with the dock. Looks like one great big roof. So I just brought the house down to give that some shape. And there's the bottom. Here's its bow. And here's its front deck. And that deck does come around this way. And now I'm going to reflect it. I'm going to reflect its white back side with white. But I'm going to have the darker white here for where it's reflecting in the water here. And here I'm going to reflect the blue sky. Bluer. Ooh, boy. And bluer. In fact, I'll put all blue down here. Lay it in, but then I'm going to go up and down to help it become reflection. Go darker down here. So this is what I think about as I look about. You can get 10 people all painting the same scene, and they all have eyes, they all seeing the same scene, but they all paint it differently. Why do they paint it differently? They're affected by what they know, primarily. People say they're affected primarily because of the way they feel. You can't paint a feeling. All you can do is feel it. You can paint what you know, though. I always like to accentuate the focal point by putting a nice light tone against its dark place. So a cloud is not just put in because you see it. A cloud is put in because you need it and where you want it. You have a perfect right to move a cloud. It'll move for you if you... People say, well, you know, I was painting that cloud and it moved. Well, why don't you put it in a new position? Oh, there's lots of stuff on this. Now I have to make sure that I have all the paint covered before I can turn it into reflections. So I need more paint invested here, invested down here, and red here, because that's what's causing it. This all still seems uncovered. Oh, I know what it's covered with. It's covered with the rest of the motif. Ooh, can't use that color. I've got to darken it. Alizarin crimson, Venetian red, and a touch of green. No, it's got to be lower. See, if I were looking at it, I'd be able to make those references right. But not looking at it, I'm just relying on my memory of how reflections are. Really, the scene itself can rob you of what you know you have to do. To make it look sensible. Yes, there's a big pole here. And there's lots of pilings here. Your picture always looks kind of nude for a while because it doesn't have all the nice little attractions in it. That front of the boat is the homeliest looking point I've ever seen. Better. Well, let me prepare the area for my reflections. means I must cover the canvas. I must have paint invested, because to make it reflect, I've got to reap the dividends of the paint investment. If the paint isn't there, I'm not going to be able to move the paint into reflection-dom. And I do like to have, see, when you paint, you see the scene, that's true, but you know that right down here is where you are, and so then you look straight down at the water and see, gee, it's dark down there, and so you make it dark. Okay. Now, I'm going to ripple it. Ripple the whole thing, now that the paint is all there. And while I ripple it, I might as well add some light. The movement of the water. That's the final thing you want to do. Poster looking like, yes, because I don't have the intimacy of looking at the subject, just remembering it. So, there you go. Show you how to do reflections and draw your attention to how important the eye level is. Next time we meet, I'll tell you about another painting principle, or I'll teach you how to make soup, which is catching more light. No, it's not catching more light, it's catching less light. What am I talking about? Ah, that's better. Interest you. Eye level is over. Now I have a whole picture to paint. Hello, I'm Helen Van Wyck, and welcome to my studio.